You want to open with a knock knock joke?
Sure.
You start it.
Okay. Knock knock.
Who's there?
Doctor.
Come in. I've been waiting. My wife is dying.
Excellent. Show me to her bedroom. Leave us alone, please. I'll be done in 5 minutes.
It takes me 4 to get dressed.
And 30 seconds to get undressed.
Hey, guess what I'm doing for the first time in a while? He's looking for a joke. He's looking for a joke. He's looking.
Well, I was trying to think of something that was slightly less off color than our last joke, and I couldn't think of anything.
No, it would have to be the same level.
Yeah.
Well, I'll spoil it.
Okay.
I am actually having a drink this morning for the first time in a while.
Ooh, but why would you be doing that?
Well, as you see, and you may not have been informed about this yet, person whose name I have yet to disclose, but it's because we're currently doing a podcast called the Super Whiskey Brothers Podcast, in which it involves things that we wish to talk about, whatever those things happen, stance may be. We're mostly, when we do them, we try to drink whiskey.
Ah. Well, that sounds like a fantastic thing to be doing. I will not be drinking whiskey today because as an adult, I can drink whatever I want. Also, as an adult, I don't have extra money to buy whiskey this week. So I will be drinking here in just a few minutes, we'll be drinking some War Poet coffee with a heaping scoop of War Poet coffee in the coffee pot.
A heaping scoop.
A heaping scoop.
As an adult, I already made that decision at 6 a.m. my time this morning, which was 5 a.m. your time, and I've already had a cup of coffee. It was not War Poet coffee, unfortunately. But still.
But, yeah, I am, and the reason why I had to describe exactly how that pot of coffee was made is because my wife came in here asking how to make a pot of coffee, asking how many scoops went into it, and I couldn't break from the middle of your dialogue to tell her. So I figured if I told you right after your dialogue, she would also hear.
Are you making an entire pot of coffee?
Not like an entire pot, because it's like a 12-cup pot, and we usually make 6 cups.
So it's a half pot.
Yeah, because 3
cups. So for 4 scoops.
Well, I would have loved that, but this coffee's too expensive to do like that. So what we do, and also our scoop is pretty big too. But we the mugs that we use hold 3 of what our coffee pot calls cups. And so it's it's a good time.
You're saying it's a cluster.
Huh? Yeah.
So you're saying it's a cluster, yes.
Yeah, it's like a it's like a chicken who doesn't know what to do.
Right.
It's a flustered cluck.
I am at all times running like a chicken who does not know what to do.
Yeah.
Also very similar to a fish or any other animal who does not know what to do.
Yes, except fish tend to run slightly differently.
It's more of a flop.
Oh.
Well, but this has been a disastrous start.
It has been. But let the record show that this episode is being recorded on Saturday, June 25th, 2022.
2022.
And this has been a great week. Like, we need to talk about that before we get into our topic. We had on Thursday, we had New York State Rifle and Pistol Association v. Bruin. And then on Friday, just yesterday, we had Dobbs v. Jackson Women's Health Association. And those were the 2 most significant, most amazing Supreme Court cases of our lifetime so far.
Mine and yours.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a bit of a doubleheader week, hasn't it?
Yeah.
It did give rise to my favorite headline I've ever seen of all time, which coincidentally enough was technically a fake headline considering what it was. But
Yeah.
I believe it was Roe v. Wade aborted in its 198th trimester,
That was it. Although,
which is the single funniest thing I've ever read.
although I have to say this though, because I couldn't help but notice this. We got the ruling on New York v. Bruin, and that ruling said every person has the right, every innocent person has the right to prevent others from murdering.
In its essence.
Yeah, and the left got mad. Then on Friday, Dobbs v. Jackson, it said, the individual does not have the right to murder an innocent person. And the left got mad. What is it with the left and their murdering innocent persons fetish?
Are we about to turn this into a political episode?
No, we're done now, unless you want to keep going on that. But no, we're talking about part 5 of the Way of Kings. The first book in the Stormlight Archive.
Brandon Sanderson would love the conversation that we're having right now before we talk about his book.
Yeah, would he though?
No, he wouldn't. He wouldn't at all. He wouldn't at all. Anyways.
Yeah, it's because of Brandon Sanderson that I cannot call Mormon.
Because of Brandon Sanderson specifically.
There's that whole
Mormon thing.
I was gonna say William
Taft.
No, the guy who started the whole deal.
I don't remember.
Branham? William Branham?
William Branham.
Was that his name? That wasn't his name. Who am I thinking of?
A very different person, sir.
Yeah, I'm thinking of somebody else.
How dare you speak of William Branham in the same sentence as a Mormon?
Can't think of his
How
name.
dare you?
Hold on.
You need to Google William Branham before you wreck yourself, sir.
I know who. No, I know who William Branham is, but my name.
No, well enough.
No, but that's just the name that popped in my head. So not Joseph Smith, even though he's the guy that started it. There's another guy, the big guy. Like
Joseph Smith was the one. I thought Joseph Smith was the
Joseph Smith was the original person that started Mormonism.
I'm getting him confused with the guy who started Scientology.
But,
I mean, same thing. Who cares?
Yeah, there's another guy, and like is a similar name to Branham, Brigham Young. Brigham Young. That's who I was thinking of. See, now you know why my mind went that direction. Like, no, I know it wasn't William Branham. I liked William Branham.
Like he's been dead for a while.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that doesn't stop me from
having previously liked him.
Mm-hmm. Oh. Well. Anyways.
I'm glad we had this talk. Not really. I'm actually not. But
And also, though, I got William Branham confused
with Flagellant on horseback.
No, I am. I got William Branham confused with David Brainerd.
Mm-hmm.
David Brainerd, I like a lot as a person, but boy, do I hate reading his books.
They're boring.
But not just boring. Like I've never wanted to kill myself so badly when I pick up his stuff.
Dude had the most depressing. Everything was so depressing. Like, I don't know that I would have kept going, bud.
Mm-hmm.
We've got to talk about this book.
Yeah. So, I guess I'll give the unreasonably stupid short synopsis.
No, we didn't even do that last time. Yeah.
Yeah, we've completely forgot. But yeah, I shall give it. Here we go. Hey, so it starts with Shalon, and she's laying in bed, and she's thinking, "Boy, I sure miss Yasna. Even though I just saw her, like last night, I miss her dearly. Uh, if only I hadn't stolen that thing from her. Hey, you remember earlier I saw her. Soul casting. That's weird. I thought for sure I had stolen that from her. Wait, I did steal it from her." And then so she goes to confront Yasna and say, "Yasna, I stole that thing from you." She said, "Yes." She said, "I just thought you'd want to know that." And she said, "Okay, well, go away." She said, but I can do that. I can soul cast stuff like you can." She said, "No, you can't. Go away." And she drew her a picture. She said, because you can draw pictures, I believe you can also soul cast like me." And so she took her back as her ward. Yasna, who hates who hates having pictures drawn because of a picture, believes.
Yes.
Yeah, it was such a weird thing. But and so she goes in, and now they're hanging out, and then literally nothing else interesting happens the rest of the time, even though they talk again. So I'm gonna ignore those two again for the rest of the bit. Oh, there's one more thing, and I'll say that later. And so we go back to Kaladin, and Kaladin goes and he meets Dalinar, and he says, "So Dalinar, what's the plan?" And he said, "The plan is anybody who wants to work for me can work for me, and anybody who doesn't want to work for me, I will give them money and send them on their way." And Kaladin said, "Okay, sounds good. I like that plan." He said, "So, which will you do?" He said, "I'll work for you, as long as you put me in charge." And Dalinar said, "Done. Will your men work for me?" He said, "Yes, they will. They'll follow me anywhere." He said, "Okay, well then, let them know when they start." He said, "Hold on, Dalinar. First, I have to ask them if they're going to work for you." And he said, "But I thought you said they were going to work for me." I said, "Yes, they will." "Okay, well then go tell them." I said, "I have to ask them first." I said, "Okay. So will they or won't they?" And Kaladin said, "Yes." And so so he went to ask them what was going on, and said, "Hey, do you guys want to work for Dalinar?" And they said, okay." And so they decided to work for Dalinar. And then now Dalinar had already beat the crap out of
Yes.
Elhokar. Okay, so then he goes to talk to God again. Dalinar does, and he says, "Hey, why'd you lie to me?" And the guy doesn't answer him. He said, "Hey, I'm talking to you." And then God looks at him and says, "Hello, handsome. This is a recording." Dalinar said, "Crap! This whole time." And so they go away, and then we go to Wit, and Wit says, we need to hang out here and talk about stupidity for a little bit." And the guardsman said, "But I said, you heard me." And so then a guy shows up, and he says, "What day is it?" And then he collapses and dies, and he's a herald. And Wit goes, "You're too late, Doc." And then go back to the last thing from Shalon, where they said, "What? The Voidbringers are the Parshmen? Haha, that's ridiculous." And that's it. That's the whole part.
That was the longest quick breakdown we've ever done, and it was
over
on
the
the
shortest
shortest thing
thing.
we've ever covered.
How's that work?
Okay. So this is like we said, this is the end of book one, and the first thing you mentioned is also I think this is probably still one of the most exciting sections of the book for me. I love the wrap ups. It's the first time I was ever jacked about the story with Shallan the entire time. Because I can't stand her. I know there's a ton of times we'll even talk about this book, but I can't stand Shallan.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the first time I've ever been excited about what's happening with her character. So she actually gets some big reveals. We get more of this story about Yasna. We learned some more stuff about her. We get to see that her character, the Shallan's character is going to be something potentially interesting in the next book. We discover the things that she's going to be able to be interacting with and that are going to be giving her powers. So the opening is actually very cool for me because this is the first time I sat down and I was like, oh, I actually like her right now. Haven't yet.
Oh, hold that thought. I smell coffee. When everything's done, I'm going to pour myself a cup.
The best part of waking up
is
getting ready
doing
to do a
it in
podcast with
the
her brother and all
butt.
this kind of stuff. And he's doing all this kind of stuff right here. And he comes back and he goes and makes a cup of coffee. And when he goes and gets a cup of coffee, we quit talking about the book that we're reading because after there's a book we're reading, it's going to have a cup of coffee. Ugh. Future Sean is going to be editing this out. Don't do it. Leave it in. Let people embrace the silence, the seconds of silence, the seconds of really bad jokes, the bad cutaway we just made, the droning I'm doing right now. Leave it in. Leave it all in. Embrace it.
The best part of waking up, taking it in the butt.
Ah, yes, I miss Catholic school.
What? Spider? Put it in my cup. Okay. Let's do this. All right. So, anyways, what was the last thing that we had said? You're interested in Shallan now.
For the first time.
Let's talk about, Tyler, why you're interested in a 16-year-old.
Oh, there are so many reasons. But not that reason. She's too old. For signing up for primary school. My goodness, guys. So her character sucks. And this is the first time that she's felt like a character I gave a crap about as a person. Her interaction with Shallan was the best interaction she's had in the entire book.
She is
The way
Shallan.
let me talk, you idiot. She has the only positive feeling interaction. The first time she's ever actually stepped up and said some stuff without being a, I don't know, person I hate. I don't even feel like describing it. I just can't stand her. This interaction was great. The reveal is pretty great because I didn't figure it out before. Shallan's making the reader figure it out. So it was a good reveal. The way she proves to Yasna that all the stuff she's saying is legit is pretty cool. The reveal that she killed her dad, pretty intense because obviously they gave you no way to even make a guess about any of that stuff leading up into it. So it's a pretty hard hammer to drop on the reader.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. Yeah, it's a really, really intense moment for her character. And it's all the way at the end of the book, which I mean, like I say that like reveals don't happen at the end of the book, but I mean, like I couldn't stand her until the end of the book, and I'm like, okay, I'm officially interested in at least reading more about what she's doing because I was not up until this point.
Yeah, putting a reveal, by the way, at the end of a book when there's still more story to come is like at the end of like a book early on in a series or something like that is perfectly okay. I have read books where they had some crazy reveal at the end, and it just, that was weird. Everything just got. Brooke unplugged her headphones from from the splitter, and everything just got like substantially loud. That was wild.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean that wouldn't have affected you any because
Not at all.
yeah, because I have my headphones are plugged into the monitor, not the actual output, so you wouldn't have heard that difference at all.
I didn't.
But still, yeah,
But still.
yeah, but I have read books where there was this, big twist reveal, like on the last couple pages, and that big twist reveal is how they wrapped up the story, and that's always ridiculous when that happens. But in cases like this, I don't hate.
I'm glad we had this talk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know where I was going with that, other than it's okay to have a reveal at the end of a book as long as the story isn't over. If you end your story with a reveal, you're gay.
I don't mind it. I mean, like, I really don't. Because, I mean, he has several. I think every single character except for. Dalinar gets a big reveal.
Yeah. Oh no, that's what I was
Shallan
saying.
gets
I
a
was
big
saying in this
reveal.
case it is okay because the book is over, but the story isn't. I'm saying if you end the story with a reveal.
Oh no, I mean, very few people do that. Technically speaking, I mean, like the entire story, like because I mean, most stories that are long enough and important enough to have a reveal have to have a big. They have to have a big wrap up at the end. So I mean, you usually have like 100 pages of putting people where they need to be after a reveal. So that, I mean, that's never something that I really worry about. What was I saying? Oh, but yeah, we get Dalinar's big reveal, which is pretty darn intense. Just because we have a moment as the reader where we get to look all the way back at some of the assumptions that he's made and some of the things that he's done that were revolving around doing what the things in these visions were telling him to do, only for him to find out, oh, they weren't necessarily telling him to do any of the stuff he thought he was being told to do. Because he got set up for his big betrayal because he thought he was listening to this entity. And I mean, he was listening to the entity, but the entity wasn't talking to him. Like hearing someone talk at the other end of a restaurant being like, I'll do whatever you say.
Yeah. No, I really like that because, like, there was, this fellow, Orthalum had a way of, Orthalum is that's the god character in, Brent Weeks. But this, but this fellow ain't dead. He has a,
He actually is dead.
That's not good at all. Oh, poop. Had I known, I'd have tucked in me.
Oh, you just hooked in me shirt.
We are thinking about yeah, but this god character had a way of transmitting. So, okay, so here's what confuses me a little bit, and that's this: like, Odium is the person who, according to the god person, killed him.
Correct.
Odium is the one who is like, in charge of these storms, and he's the god of the Parshendi and stuff like that, or at least he has something to do with them somehow. He's the one that enables them to take on their separate forms, like the Parshendi versus the Parshmen and blah 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 blah. And so I really have, and this is something that hopefully maybe gets revealed in the second book, or further on. I don't know. How on earth, if Odium is the bad guy who is, causing the high storms to come more frequently and is bringing the Great Desolation and the Everstorm and all this stuff, and is the evil, the evil Spren-like storm creature that Kaladin saw and was afraid of at this other point. I think it was Kaladin that saw. I don't remember. But if that is Odium, then how is it and he's that kind of powerful, then how is it that the high storms bring about these visions that the Almighty supposedly recorded?
Probably because of all the energy in them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but you'd think, I don't know, this is just me, that this guy is like, I'm so powerful that I'm gonna kill this guy, and or whatever it is that I do, I will destroy him, and then take this, push it. So the only thing I can think, so I said before that I thought maybe Wit was the Almighty, and that would have been a cool character thing. If I honestly had to take a complete, true, genuine guess, Wit is one of the heralds, and not the Almighty. He's one of the heralds, and Odium and the Almighty are the same thing. So it's like two sides of the same coin, kind of. Like Titus and Sin, or Ezra and the monster, Ezra and the wolf monster, or it's the same person, or like that Disney cartoon, the cool girl and the lava girl.
Shark Boy and Lava Girl?
No, that Disney cartoon that just came out a couple years ago with Tamara Morrison in it, and Dwayne Johnson. And
Tamara Morrison, Moana.
Yeah, like there's the evil lava
I already get
lady.
what you're saying. It's the same, but like the evil person is actually the good person.
Yeah, and like so Odium and the Almighty. This is my official guess. Odium and Almighty are the same thing. When I said Odium has killed me, Odium, this side of me has taken over, but I'm still myself in here. So I'm coming through, bringing destruction and killing because I'm evil, but also the other side of me is still there. So then you can see this, and I'm bringing back the Knights Radiant, and I'm doing this and this so you can put a stop to me and bring me back, kind of thing.
So I don't necessarily think that Wit is going to end up being the Almighty.
Yeah.
But I would love. Part of me wants to make that my guess, just because I would love it so much.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of torn. That's what I want to see happen. I just do not think it will. And I think you're probably right. He's probably one of the heralds, someone who's extremely powerful and in hiding, but not necessarily the creator of the universe. But I'm going to make my official guess to be different from you, and to be honestly the way that I want it to be. I'm going to say that Wit is the Almighty.
Yeah.
I do think that the person doling out these visions, and Odium, are going to be. I don't even want to say two different entities, because I have a very, very strong feeling that they're gonna. The way that he seems to be approaching the concept of religion in these books, and the direction that I feel like he's going to take it, I kind of feel like it's going to be more abstract than that. I have a hard time believing there's actually going to be an entity that he's referring to, that Odium has killed me. It's going to be, I feel like he's going to think he's being more poetic by making Odium be a lot more abstract, be a lot more of a concept as opposed to an actual entity, because then we can go back and think about, this entity is dead because Odium killed it, but Odium isn't a person. It's a thing that it's the friends we made along the way all along. It's going to be something like that. That's just what I want to predict that. And Dalinar's going to die.
Okay. Yeah. Well, because Zeth is going after him, right?
Yes, exactly. He's going to die.
Yeah. Oh, don't worry. Zeth and Dalinar will meet in.
You've already told me about that, and I have zero belief that it happens relatively early. Correct?
Well, it has to, because I just barely made any progress in it before I decided to stop reading it, and only read as we went along.
So I'm going to make a quick prediction here. Obviously, in part 4, not in part 5, which is the part we're talking about now, we do get the reveal that Zeth is being technically commanded by it's the king that Yasna and Shallan are interacting with, correct? Yeah, so it's Taravangian. So he is currently being controlled by him, and the last command that we get to hear him give is that he needs to go kill Dalinar Kholin, our resident perfect character. So I don't think it's something that he's going to accomplish at all. I think Dalinar's going to die. He might even die in the second book. I'll allow that. But I don't think Zed is going to be the one to kill him. I don't think he's going to be able to. It's going to happen some other way.
Oh, Zeth's pretty cool.
Zeth is quite cool. He's one of the coolest. He is a runner-up to Dalinar Kholin. And I'm not saying I'm not doing the fanboy thing where I'm making my prediction based off of which character I like the most. I'm trying to think from if he's writing this and he's writing this to be interesting and to be good and story driven. There's going to be something where they discover Zeth, they realize what's wrong with Zeth, what Zeth is, and they're going to try to find a way to release him from his thing. And they're going to find that way. And then after they find that way, Dalinar's going to die, and Zeth's going to be like, no! And then the book 3.
Well, I imagine if they found a way to release Zeth from his Oath Stone, he would probably kill him. That's absolutely my guess. Just because of how bad he hates being alive.
He does hate being alive, and I don't blame him, and I get it. But I think that what he's going to have to go through to get to that point, he's going to end up living and fighting for humanity. That's just too much of the way Brandon Sanderson writes these characters.
Yeah.
He just does it so much. I mean, like he loves doing that. It's like everything he's technically writing is the main emotion he wants to portray. Seems like it's hope all the time.
Yeah. That's one thing that I don't like about him. That's this. Everything about his writing is nothing but hopeful. Everything that his characters exhibit is nothing but despair. And I don't see how he's able to reconcile. I mean, he doesn't do bad, but bad with that aspect of it. But he's constantly trying to reconcile writing hope into nothing but despair. And you can't go from just complete despair to being hopeful. I mean, at the same time, I mean, you can go from one to the other, but you can't have it go at the same time. It's either, you can be mostly, disparaging, but then a little bit, but then you still feel some hope. But you can't, like, everyone's just, I have nothing but despair. And then they said, but he still had hope,
Yeah. That is pretty much like the thing. And I get that on one hand, as an author, you're trying to put forth emotions. You're trying to put forth emotions that are going to keep people involved. Like when you're reading a Lovecraft story, it's all despair, no hope, and that's great because the entire story that he's trying to put across is one of the point of Lovecraft is everything is meaningless. There you go, nihilism at its finest, and that's what it is. And Sanderson, like you just said, is approaching it from this. Here's how terrible everything is, insurmountable odds, and we all have hope, and we're going to make it through, which is pretty common. I mean, but he writes, like you said, like he's writing that part in so deeply about this. I mean, if you're following, I mean, the only thing that keeps you attached to that's driving Yasna is everything's going to go terrible unless I succeed, and then I don't succeed, and then the last minute is like a whole new life and a whole new thing and a whole new everything. Like, okay, well, I guess you're going to keep me interested a little while longer while she discovers this stuff. And then if you look at nope, brain fart, big brain fart, our other main character, Kaladin. Not Dalinar. Thank you. Kaladin's character is just abysmal. What an abysmal backstory. What an abysmal story leading up to the front. It's just like, how many things can go wrong before something goes right? Oh, everything until the very end of the book when something goes right. Got it.
Yeah, it's it's the same thing. Like you see this in cartoons where you have these characters that like the narrator is just, you know, like the characters are aware of what's going on and the narrator is always subverting them. It's like like man, it's like I have this going on and this and but hey, I'm still happy, you know, at least it's not raining. And then you hear the narrator's voice, and then it began to rain.
But it was raining.
or like
The Stanley Parable.
yeah, yes, this is very much the Stanley Parable.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah. I was also reminded of Dave the Barbarian when the narrator got sick and they had to get a new narrator, and so it was like so the narrator changes everything, turns into like a space story and everything, and it's like, man, this isn't what we're used to at all. I said, and then said, wait, but what if this narrator doesn't have us win? The narrator always has us win. And Chuckles goes, yeah, I could win this time. The narrator leans in and said, in this episode, Chuckles, the evil space piggy, gets beat like a cheap drum.
It's one of the funniest moments in cartoon history. I can't believe they canceled that show, by the way. First of all, fantastic. Yeah, I mean, it's the reason why I do. We'll circle back and pretend like we're on track here. We'll circle back to the reason why we start talking about this. It's the reason why I believe that Zeth is going to be a come around character. He has a awful, terrible existence that he hates and wishes would end all the time. So I don't know what is going to bring about the change in him that's going to make him not wish to unalive himself. But he's not going to. He's going to go around living for something. And honestly, the way they're building it up, we're going to have to run into some self-sacrifice situation, right? And I mean, the obvious layup character we think of is probably Dalinar. That seems like a layup. Do some big, brave, bold thing, because he already almost did, right, in the Battle of the Betrayal.
Yeah.
I don't think that Zeth is going to be that character, because we're going to be learning that's going to be his big life lesson, is how to keep on living with himself, because he would love to sacrifice himself to do something good, right? He doesn't want to live anymore. So we're going to take that away from him. I'm even going to go one further with my prediction there. There's going to be the situation. He might even go for it. And then, like, he's going to have to live with the guilt of, I don't want to be alive, and yet someone else still sacrificed himself for me. I'm going that deep into how I think the story is going to go.
I think it could very easily give, like, you know, make, you know, turn Zeth into, like, you know, get rid of the Oath Stone, and so now he does, and then, but go towards the allow him to be self-sacrificial. So like now he has that moment where he has the satisfaction of doing something good, of having been able to sacrifice himself for that, and now and also on top of all that, he gets to die. I could see it going that way, because that would be the ultimate pleasant ending for that character, be to save someone and die.
It would be the ultimate pleasant ending for the character, but my sole reason for taking a slightly different avenue than you is because I think that Sanderson's going to make him keep existing and make him go live and learn other life lessons that he hasn't figured out because of how despairing he is. That's just what I think is going to happen. What you're describing is also a very, very would also be a good ending for the character, don't get me wrong, but because it's perfect, I don't think it'll happen.
And it could also be, I could see both happening. Like, it starts off your way, like he can't die, he has all these other stuff, and then he comes to terms with everything, and then once he no longer actively wants to die, because I mean, obviously, he's still always going to be of the opinion of, I did all this stuff and I deserve to die. You know, you can't shake that opinion when you do stuff like he was forced. But he no longer like, okay, I'm okay with living now. Like, I know I deserve death, but you know, there's other stuff that I can be doing, and then he'll have the opportunity at that point to sacrifice himself for somebody. I think that is the most like splitting the difference between.
I'm not to keep talking about, but I will say I think the same line but directly opposite result. I think he's going to be able to sacrifice himself, I think he's going to make the decision to, and I think it's going to be taken from him to some degree because it's going to be like they're gonna someone who is going to end up being less useful than him is going to sacrifice themselves for him because they want him to continue being useful. I think it's going to be too, if it happens in the next book or two, it's going to be too early to give it to our boy Kaladin because I think he's going to be useful longer. I think to make it hurt even more, I'm going to go and make a big prediction. I think Dalinar is going to sacrifice himself for Zeth. I'm going to get specific. I feel like that's too specific, and I shouldn't have gone that specific because now I've walked away from all the abstract predictions we're making. But I think that's going to hit the characters hard. I think it's going to hit the reader hard, and I think it's going to make Zeth hate himself a little bit more for a length of time. Dalinar Kholin sacrifices himself for Zeth. Official prediction.
Tyler, we've
Sean.
been talking about something that people didn't realize what we were talking about because you and I both thought this was in part 4, but I just opened this up and this is part 5, I think. Hold on, did I skip ahead? Maybe I skipped ahead in this part. Okay, yeah, this is in part 5. Zeth's conversation with Taravangian is in part 5.
It's not?
It is in part 5. It's the second chapter of part 5.
It's not the first chapter. Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
okay, wonderful.
I thought it was the last chapter of part 4. It's the second chapter of part 5. So yeah,
I thought the same.
Yeah. Okay, hey guys. So we just completely left off talking about this because we thought we talked about it last week. Let's talk about Taravangian and Zeth.
That was top 3 moments for the whole book, easily.
Yeah.
It's now obviously you don't give enough of a crap about Taravangian. I mean, like he's here and there, but it's just enough to give you the impression like, oh, what a great guy, what a really great guy. So the King Taravangian, you think that he's going to be this calm, loving, grandfatherly kind of character. That's kind of he actually tries to do everything to save his granddaughter. So I mean, pretty grandfatherly.
Yeah.
And then the big reveal is that Zeth's final kill on his list. He goes down to confront and kill this person, deliver a message before he completes the kill, and the king reveals, oh, by the way, don't kill me because it was me who gave you the order to kill me, and here's all the things you're going to be killing from now on. By the way, I'm the most evil person.
While still being
Phenomenal.
an extremely kind person.
This is true, and I do love a good dichotomy character. Don't get me wrong. It's a bit of a layup to do it because you pretty much, as a writer, you're just writing a character like that in so that you can have the moral ambiguity. I mean, it's why you always have the bad guy who says some really profound stuff about why he's doing what he's doing. And everyone's like, maybe the bad guy is right. That's all the only reason why you have a character like Taravangian, but this is one of the best ways I've seen it done.
Yeah, Taravangian is one of the best examples I've ever seen of if the truly good man, for truly good reasons, does truly horribly evil things, is he still a good man?
Yeah, and so many people try to pull this off, and nearly everyone fails, or at least makes it very lackluster and like make you wanting more in some way. This is perfect.
This is perfect because I still think Taravangian's a good man.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm all in. I'm super jacked.
Yeah, because like the whole thing is like these people, like, you know, we had to kill these people so we could do, you know, have this and this and this because we need to hear what they're saying to save the world. But also that I can't, you know, like you know, why would I tell my people to kill all these people and, you know, keep myself clean? So therefore, I killed some of these people myself just so I wouldn't have it on my conscience of telling them to do something I wouldn't do. So I killed people for that reason. And it's like, well, are you the most evil character in the book, or are you know, like second only to Dalinar?
The best character? Yeah, you'll say, well, yeah, I'll take that back. Second to Dalinar.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, that's like, so you're hiring me to do all of your dirty work? He's like, yeah, except for that I've been killing all these guys. So like, oh, well, then never mind.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, it's hinted at, but I'm going to go ahead and tell you. Do you know who the single most evil person you've come across, human being you've come across so far in the book is? I want you to take a guess, and I'm going to tell you who it is. Because it's hinted at, so it's not a spoiler for you to know this. But I want to see if you'll guess who it is.
The single most evil person?
The single most evil person that you've come across.
Is it one of the people that have gotten a fair bit of, we'll say, screen time?
They've gotten enough that you know who they are. They are either a main character or a secondary character or possibly a tertiary character at this point. But they are. I'll say you have. It could be someone that has had lots and lots of screen time. It could be someone who's had just enough for you to know who they are. But I guarantee you know who the person is.
Well, it's not the king because he's a bit too simple, I think.
Yeah.
I wouldn't guess him.
You mean Elokar? Is that who you're thinking? Or who?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Because we were just talking about Taravangian, so I didn't know.
No, Elgar.
Yeah.
I think he's too simple
Mm-hmm.
to be an evil character.
Mm-hmm.
I think it'd be a really cool reveal to be one of Dalinar's sons.
Mm-hmm.
So, without doing too much more thinking, to sit here and prolong some big train of thought I don't want to have, and for the sake of just having it, I'm going to say the disabled son.
I was gonna say if one of Dalinar's sons turned out to be evil, it would have to be Renarin because that would just be that would actually be kind of cool.
Yeah, that's my thought as well.
Yeah, but no, the most evil person, most truly evil person that has a human being that has showed up in the book so far, Amaram.
Okay.
He does a without having there's some stuff that's beyond even what I've read, so there can be no spoilers that really I can give that I've heard like hints and clues about without knowing what it is, enough knowing that stuff happens, but I have no idea what it could possibly be. But like it was brought up that he was in the war camp, that he had just arrived in Sadius's camp.
Sure.
He hangs out there for a while, and you find out like just how truly screwed up this guy is, and it's fantastic.
Okay. So
worst human being ever.
Just to recap for the people listening, Amaram is in fact the person who was Kaladin's original commander that Kaladin loved, that murdered all of his men to take the shard blade plate, whatever, that Kaladin won when he killed the shard bearer. That we only find about in later flashbacks in part 3, correct?
I can't remember if it was as far as part 3, but yes, yeah.
I'm pretty confident in saying it's part 3.
Either way, it was earlier in this book.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. I'd be okay with that. I mean, he does something that's relatively evil. But obviously this book deals with a lot of non-absolutes when it comes to good and evil. And I truly believe that his was one of the non-absolutes for evil in what he's done so far in killing all of Kaladin's men. I take that's more of the Gestapo approach. Which now it sounds like I'm siding with the Gestapo after making this next statement. But I do get where he's coming from in doing what he did in killing all of Kaladin's men as the witnesses because he's like, the people need to believe that I didn't do something wrong to have this because they need to see me as this thing. So you almost get the idea that he's doing it from a place of well-meaning in a way. Now, it's extreme, and I'm not saying I agree with it, but I can be empathetic to the concept. I mean, if you're someone who's like, okay, well, I'll make a parallel here to one of my favorite Game of Thrones characters, which is Varys. He does a lot of things that seem very evil throughout the story, in the books and in the show both. But he is possibly one of the only, if not the only character who has only ever done everything he has done for the good of the people at large.
Sean Bean.
What?
Sean Bean.
No, you can't even take his character because he does everything for specifically like to make sure the interests of the people of his area. I'm not making a distinction here to say if Sean Bean's character were to do something evil, were to do something evil because he's trying to protect the people in the North, then he would be doing something that could detrimentally affect the rest of the Seven Kingdoms. Varys does things that are evil to benefit the entirety of humanity as he is aware of humanity. That's the distinction I'm making here. And I will say that I get that it's a very small one, but there is a distinction. I hate that now I'm only thinking Sean Bean instead of his character's name. You've hecked me up.
I don't know his character's
I'm saying Veritor. So I'm saying Veritor and Sean Bean now. But Varys only does everything to benefit humanity as a whole. And if I'm trying to be empathetic to that cause, I can sort of allow Amram's actions based on that thought if those are his intentions. Now, if you're saying he does something else that's truly evil and kind of takes that away, then I take that back from my original statement about him making that as a decision for good. And in that case, it was a purely evil decision to be like, I want more stuff, I want more things, I'm taking this stuff. I'll put it to you this way. If presented with the opportunity, would he have let all those people live if Kaladin would have chosen to keep the shard plate and the shard blade? And would he have been comfortable and like, yes, this is still the right decision and I stand by it? Because if he would have been perfectly fine with allowing Kaladin to keep the plate and the blade, I'm about to make a lengthy explanation here or a big jump here, and I apologize, but it is important. If he would have been perfectly happy allowing Kaladin to keep the plate and the blade and would not have killed anyone and would have gone on going, this was the right decision, then I stand by his decision to kill the other men. And here's one reason why. If you read Prime, in Prime, the same character with a different name, that is Amaram, allows the character who's taking the place of Kaladin happily to keep the plate and the blade. And you actually spend a good portion of the beginning of Prime following this character as he's learning to use the plate and the blade, because he keeps them. And his commander is happy for him and excited for him and can't wait to see what great things happen to him. And I'll go ahead and tell you, have you read Prime?
I haven't.
Read Prime. It's good. It's essentially Aragon, as far as I'm concerned. Prime is Aragon.
Okay.
The storyline's the same. You're essentially following around Aragon. I can't remember the character's name now. It might even be Kaladin still. I can't remember. But essentially you're following him around as he suddenly launched into this other position. Suddenly he's more famous. Suddenly he has the ability. He has money. He has people going after him. He learned to use his new powers, and he doesn't know how to do it. Blah, 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 blah. It's Aragon, and instead of having a dragon, he's got a big freaking sword.
All right.
But if Amaram would have happily allowed Kaladin to keep the plate and the blade instead of giving it up like he does, then I can justify Amaram's actions, and I'm done talking.
Okay. Amaram does have a conversation with Sadeas. I forget the exact verbiage, but he says something to the effect of, "Oh, don't worry, Sadeas. I've done a very good job of convincing people that I'm a good guy."
Well, yeah. Sure.
Yeah, but
I'm sure I'll change my opinion after I get into book 2, but I'm still, that's where I've been sitting this whole time on Amaram.
Yeah, but this whole thing too, that you said we can justify the actions in this way or that way, or potentially we do this or that, and there's a way of looking at it where it could be the good thing, and of course going back to Taravangian, this goes all the way back to one of our first couple episodes of Mere Christianity when we talked about good, like if there was just this ultimate good, and but there was no like driving force of morality behind it, just good without God, then who's to say that it is the good that we would want, or it is the good, like there are lots of things that could be considered good but would still be very evil things without the morality of God. And it's you go back to that same thing.
So this is where this gets very complicated and very philosophical, and we're going to dive into it now because we started, and there's nothing else to talk about for part 5. So here we go. There is kind of an odd way of answering this, and since we're bringing up God and talking about God, we'll have to get biblical. There are multiple occasions in which God commands people to do evil things, technically evil. right? Technically evil. We see an example in the Bible of God commanding. It's like, wow, I'm too tired and I'm getting my stories mixed up. So please correct me if I'm wrong here, and I'll be very ashamed if I am. It's not Saul. Gosh darn it! Why am I thinking it's Saul? Is commanded to kill every man, woman, child, all the animals.
That was Saul.
Okay, good. Oh, good. Every man, woman, child, and including the animals. And the person goes, "That's terrible. I'm going to keep all the animals, but I'm going to sacrifice them to God."
That's a terrible thing to do. I won't do that. I'll keep all the animals.
Keep all the animals. And then of course the golden jewels. But in that moment, God clearly has the greater good in mind. But he has commanded someone to do evil. So it's pushing your point further. I'm not counterpointing you here, but it's worth bringing that up if we're going to talk about morality, and we're bringing God into morality again.
Almost like you can't separate the two.
Hot take. But that's kind of where I was coming from for all this. The greater good. There can be evil things done in the name of greater good. And so I was allowing Amaram to still be considered as not quite the character that Kaladin thinks he is, I'll say. Still obviously nowhere near perfect because he's not Downar, but he could have still been fine making the decision that he made. He could have still been an okay character.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Potentially, yeah. Tyler.
Sean.
I don't know how we did it, but we're at 57 minutes of recording over part 5.
It's because we diverted.
See, sometimes our tangential nature is beneficial.
Look at that. Yes. So that's part 5. That's the end of the book. I can't tell you how excited I am that we're done with this, only because I've been waiting months to read book 2 now, and I've avoided book 2 this entire time just so we can do this properly for book 2 and for us to kind of experience it at the same time. And technically, you've experienced a little bit before me, but I am quite excited to start book 2.
Yeah. Okay. So one of us. I'm not gonna point fingers. I'm the only room right now. So,
That's true.
One of us forgot to upload the past 2 episodes that we recorded, which means that this is gonna episode. If I do upload them, which I will, and I upload them in order, which I will. This episode is actually gonna come out like 3 weeks after. But that means, though, if you guys want, we can make the very next episode part 2, because if we, we may take a week off of recording, give ourselves 2 weeks to read and get into the first part of book 2, and so now we have a whole 2 weeks to get that read and ready and prepared for you guys. And if it sounds good to you guys, we may make our very next episode about the first part of book 2, and then take a little bit of a break from that and maybe get into some games or something. We'll see what happens. But if that sounds good to you guys, we may that might be what we do.
It sounds good to me, and that's all that matters.